Hello, grade 9. We will now continue our discussion for today. We will have the last lesson, which is about the music of the Baroque period. We will not pray anymore since we have it already a while ago. No? Okay, so now let's proceed with this activity. Okay, so I want you to try getting the letters that has an equivalent number for this. For example, A is 1, B is number 2, C is number 3, okay, then D is number 4, okay, Z is number 26, like that, okay? So I want you to try guessing what equivalent letters or these numbers are pertaining to create a particular word. Okay, let's try. What do you think is the answer for that? You may chat it in the chat box. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so the answer for 2138, okay, 2 is B, 1 is A, 3 is C, then 8 is H. That we conclude that this is none other than, okay, we pronounce it. Can you pronounce it? Back. Okay, back. I don't want to hear anyone saying it's batch. It's not batch, but back. Okay, next one. We have this one. We have 13, 9, 14, 21, 5, and 20. Okay, so what number or what equivalent letter do we have for 13? What do you think? Okay, so we have 13 is what? Okay, so final answer in the chat box. Okay, what do you think? That is 13 is M, I is 9, 14 is N, okay, then 21 is U. Correct. Okay. Then we have 5, which is equivalent to what letter? E. Okay. Then 20 is T. Okay. Therefore, we conclude that these numbers are pertaining to minuet. Okay. Not minuet, not minuet, not minute, or minute. Not that. Okay. It is called as minuet. Okay. Minuet. Next one. How about this one? We have 21, 18, 15, 17, 21, and 5. What do you think? Okay, that is 2 pala. That is 2, then 1, okay, then 18, then 15. Okay, we have, okay. Now let's have the answer. 2 is B, 1 is A, 18 is R, okay, and then O is 15, 17 is Q, okay, 21 is U, and we have 5, which is E. Therefore, we conclude that it is Baroque. Okay, it's not Baroque. Okay, not Baroque, not like that. Okay, the pronunciation is Baroque. Okay, the Baroque. Okay, and now, therefore, we will proceed with the discussion, which is entitled the Baroque period. Okay, music of the Baroque period. After medieval, that is the first that is the first um period that we have. Okay, so this is the period that tells us about rediscovery. Okay, it is the middle or the medieval period. Okay, always remember that. No? Okay, so it started from 400 common era to 1400s. Okay, and then we have the Renaissance period, on which it started from 1400s up to 1600s. Now we will proceed to Baroque period. Okay, so in music, the Baroque style flourished from 1600s to 1750. Okay, always remember that it is from 1600s up to 1750. Okay, and then we have composers who were called as the most important people, okay, that make the Baroque period flourish really, really well. Okay, most of the Baroque period music was written according to the patron's specification. No? So aside from the two giants that we will be discussing later, we have different or other masters that really contributed something in this period. Okay, so most of the Baroque period, no, it is commissioned by the aristocratic courts, churches, municipalities, and opera houses, all of which also engage musicians. Okay, so that is the Baroque period. You can see the different architectures as well. I just put it to add or for you to imagine na, the Baroque era. Okay? So aside from that, my dear students, Italian composers of the early Baroque period invented opera. So this is the beginning of opera. This is the time where opera was born. Okay? During the Baroque period. Okay? So when we say opera, what does it mean? Is it a type of surgery in the hospital? Of course, it's not, no? So I know that some of you are familiar already with the word opera. Though the spelling of it is similar with the Tagalog term opera na naooperahan sa ospital, but this is not like that. Okay, when we talk about opera, usually it was pronounced as opera, like that. Okay, the pronunciation of that. It is a drama that was sung to orchestral accompaniment. So there is an orchestra, okay, a group of instruments. When we talk about orchestra, there are lots of different kinds of instruments, not only wind instruments, not only percussion, but the combination of all the families of instruments were present in the orchestra. Okay, so composers preferred during this time a homophonic texture and contrast of sounds, wherein the solo singers are against a chorus and voices against the instruments, no? So but around 1680, instrumental music here became as important as vocal music, which is somehow different from the two periods that we have discussed, because during the medieval period and Renaissance period, it's mostly all about the what? The a cappella. Okay? But here, instrumental music became as important as the vocal music. Aside from that, when we talk about the characteristic of Baroque pieces, it is usually following a basic mood, a piece or a musical score that begins joyfully. It will remain all throughout the song joyfully. Okay, it will remain joyfully all throughout the music score. Okay, so the main exception to this unity of mood happens only in the vocal music. Of course, students, when we are talking about vocal music, especially the singers of it, no, they different singers, they have different style in singing. They have different manners in performing. Though it is happy for the other singers or other performers, but to the other one, it seems like she's sad. The way she conveyed the music, or he conveyed the music in a sad manner. That's how he perceive the music. That's why it's very different from a vocal music now. So strong changes of emotions aside from that in a text may inspire corresponding changes when it comes to the music. Okay, so let's move on with our presentation. Aside from this Baroque architecture, we have this one, the palace in Romania, okay, which is now an art museum. Okay, so also this painting. I know that some of you are familiar with this. The Baroque style of painting and art was prevalent in Europe from the late 16th century up to the early 18th century, and it is characterized by the dynamic what? By the dynamic movement and overt emotion. Okay, so that is some of the artworks that you can see, okay, from the Baroque period. So this painting, okay, that is known as the Assumption of Mary. Okay, it was created by Peter Paul. Okay, then we have here the Adoration of the Magi by Peter Paul as well. Okay, and then here the Italian composers of the early Baroque. Okay, I have mentioned this since a while ago. Okay, so when we talk about Baroque period, okay, it is known as, please take note of this, okay, because when we say medieval, now if you still remember, it means what? It means Dark Ages or Middle Ages. Now it's about the fall of the Roman Empire. While Renaissance period, it came from the Italian term Rinascimento or Renatere, which means rebirth. No? When we say Italia, when we say Baroque period, okay, it is um it came from the word barocco, which means irregular in pearl shape. Okay, again, when we say Baroque period, it is from the word barocco, which means irregular in pearl shape. Okay, you will know here why. Okay, so many melodies during this period sound elaborate and ornamental, and they are not easy to perform, no? It gives the impression of the dynamic development rather than the symmetry and balance, because here the melody plays an important part in this era, wherein the melodic theme will be heard again and again in a Baroque pieces. Okay, so in terms of the expressive elements, particularly the dynamics, you should remember this as well, okay, because somehow it is related. When we talk about Baroque period, it means okay, like that, no? Okay, so the dynamics, which we are pertaining to the volume, tends to stay constant. If a dynamic level shifts, it is sudden. And then the alteration between loud and soft is called the alteration, meaning to say, okay, there's a combination from loud sound up to soft sound, okay? So it is called as terrace dynamics. So as well as the use of crescendo and decrescendo, okay, when we say crescendo, it is the gradual increase of volume, lumalakas in Tagalog. While decrescendo, it is the gradual decrease in volume, humihina yung volume. One best example of this is the what? Is the Lupang Hinirang, my dear students. I know that you are very much aware of the lyrics of the Lupang Hinirang, but the way you are singing it, the way especially to those who are conducting the Lupang Hinirang, it's somehow I observe Very, very wrong. Okay? Because in Lupang Hinirang, they are using different dynamics. Okay? From loud to soft sound, especially in the part. Okay, we will try to sing it. Okay, if you are a conductor, then if you wave your hand, if you move your hand in a bigger what do you call that? In a bigger place. Okay, sa mas malawak na space like that. Okay, you are moving your hands freely. Okay, ng malaking pagkakabuka. Okay, so it means that the sound is loud. That is the conductor pertaining to. Okay, it means it's loud. Okay, so in the Lupang Hinirang, when we sang Bayang Magiliw, so meaning to say it's loud. Okay? Perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. It's still loud, right? Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pa sisiil. And then the different dynamics will enter in the next part, which is, sa dagat at bundok, it is becoming more soft and soft. Sa simoy at and then going loud again. So if we will be singing that sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bakaw, like that. Okay? It's not like you're just going to sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bakaw. It's very, very monophonic. And it's not the real or proper way you will sing the Lupang Hinirang. Okay, because in Lupang Hinirang, we are using the crescendo and decrescendo. Again, when we say crescendo, the gradual increase in volume. When we say decrescendo, gradual decrease. From the word decrescendo, decreasing. Crescendo, increasing. Always take note of that. That's why in the Baroque period, it is the period where we have the terrace dynamics. When we say terrace dynamic, the alteration between loud and soft sounds. Okay? So, it is very, very okay important for you to know that one. Okay? The crescendo and okay, so here are the two giants, no? If you will be reading the name, okay, that is Johann Sebastian Bach. And then the other one, George Friedrich Handel. Okay, if you are familiar with Johann Sebastian Bach, mostly the Minuet, okay, it was created by Bach. But I'm not saying that he is the only one who created Minuet. No, there are still other famous composers who are who composed Minuet as well, no? Okay, so we have the best example of the creation of Johann Sebastian Bach that I really really love is the Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring, no? Okay, let me just recall this just the joy of man's desiring. Okay, it's my favorite part before when I was in college because we are doing the solfeggio of this. When we say solfeggio, it's the sight reading. Okay, reading of the notes. Let me just recall this one. Sol, la, si, re. Ah, okay. I remember it. Okay. So, based from your book, if you will be looking at it on page 41, okay, we have there the just the joy of man's desiring. Okay. I will be trying, ah. Sol, la, si, re, do, mi, re, sol, fa, sol, re, si, sol, la, si, do, re, mi, re, do, si, la, si, sol, fa, sol, la, re, fa, la, do, si, la, si, sol, la, si, re, do, mi, re, sol, fa, sol, re, si, sol, la, si, mi, re, do, si, la, sol, re, sol, fa, sol. Okay, that's my favorite solfeggio part when I was in college. That is created by Johann Sebastian Bach. And one example, okay, another example of his creation, okay, I will be sharing it to you. Okay, that is the here. Just wait. Okay, the other one is where is that? Okay, I think this one. Okay, here. Hmm. Why is that? I cannot. Okay, please wait. Not anymore. Please wait. Oh, here. Ayan. Okay. So, one another example of his creation is the Minuet. And this one, it is my piece when I was in college. Okay. So, let's listen to Johann Sebastian Bach, Minuet in G minor. And there is different key signatures for the Minuet of Johann Sebastian Bach. Ha? There is also in D minor. Okay. So, let's listen first to this one. Okay. Okay, so that is the example of the composition of Johann Sebastian Bach. And there is also another one, huh? It's not the only composition of Bach. Please remember that, okay? Let's try to see, okay, and observe. So that is the composition by Handel. Okay, so always remember, my dear students, that when we talk about when we talk about the two giants, that is none other than Johann Sebastian Bach and George Friedrich Handel. But it doesn't mean that they're just the two of them. No, it's just the two of them. There are still other famous composers that we have, no, just like Vivaldi, Corelli, even Monteverdi is part of it. Even Purcell is also part of the Baroque period. Okay, so it's just that they are the two main composers who really um dominated the period of Baroque era. Okay, so I hope that it is clear to each one of you. Okay, so now we will be moving on. As you can observe in the music composition, no, you can observe that there is a combination of musical instruments. There is also the combination of a singer against the choir. Okay, so that is very visible to the music of George Frederick Handel. Now, when it comes to let's proceed on the next slide. Now, when it comes to the characteristics of the different Baroque pieces, it usually follows a basic mood. Okay, so I have mentioned this already a while ago. A piece that begins joyfully, it will remain all throughout joyfully, no? Okay, so the main exception to this is the mood that happens in a vocal music, and then a strong changes of emotion may inspire corresponding changes to the music. Okay, so here, aside from that, we have the characteristic of Baroque music, which is the mood. Okay, when we say mood, generally speaking, it is a music of the Baroque period that has one particular mood or effect. Okay, so a work or movement that is happy, just like what I have mentioned, usually remains happy throughout the work or movement. Music that is sad usually stays sad all throughout the section or an entire work. Okay, just like the mm, one example. One example for the happy is the um rejoice greatly from Handel's Messiah. No, okay, I have included here the link. I will also post this PowerPoint presentation in our Google Classroom, so you can just get it from there. Then for the example of sad all throughout the section or entire work, we have here the Dido's Lament, okay, from the opera Dido and Aeneas, okay, by Henry Purcell. So he is a British Baroque composer. Okay, so next one is the melody. Many Baroque melodies, true, though not all of it, are very long, very complex, and elaborated, containing a seemingly endless string of notes. And they are not easy to play, not easy to sing, that often requires enormous breath control and practice to perform. Excuse me. Okay, so one example of that, students, is the Just Joy of Man's Desiring. If you're familiar with that, diba, I have seen this a while ago. So if you will be observing the notes here in the page 41 staff, no, you cannot see any rest. So without a rest, then you have to what? You have to sing it all throughout, since there's no rest of it. And most of it is written in 8 note. That's an 8 note, no? Okay, so you have to sing this all throughout with how many measures is that? Let's count how many measures. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The whole measure, you can just see a quarter rest there on the last measure, on the ninth measure. So all throughout the 8 measures, you have to sing it continuously, connectedly. Okay, and I cannot do that. Okay, so for example of that is we have the sol la si re do do mi re re sol fa sol re si sol la si do re mi re do si la si sol fa sol la. You can see that I am breathing already, no? That's why they created the term staggered breathing. Okay? So if you are a choir, then all of you will be singing in unison. Yung isa sa inyo in Tagalog is ipoprolong niya yung notes continuously. She or he will be singing the notes. And then, pwede kang huminga doon hanggat may patuloy na kumakanta. Okay? Pwede kang huminga. And then after that, you should also sing connectedly para naman po makahinga yung inyo pong mga katabi or yung inyo pong mga kasama sa classification, okay, ng inyo pong boses. For example, you are three sopranos there. So, kung humihinga man yung una, okay, so you continue singing connectedly. And then, once na makita mo na siya naman yung continuously connectedly singing, then po pwede kang huminga nun. That is staggered breathing. Okay? So, that's why in the Baroque period, it's very, very different to sing because it's very, very difficult rather to sing because it is requiring you an enormous, okay, breath control. Okay, so we have here an example which is from Johann Sebastian Bach cantata number 56. Okay, it's an aria, okay, that was entitled Unleash. Okay, so next after the melody we have the basso continuo. Okay, or it is just called as continuo, no? Okay, it is a particular type of musical accompaniment that was used extensively in the Baroque period. Okay, so the instrument of the Baroque continuo usually consisted a harpsichord and a cello. Okay, so but might include no, it might include other instruments such as an organ instead of a harpsichord, and then a bassoon. Okay, um, a bassoon instead of or an addition to the cello. Okay, so that is basso continuo. It's the accompaniment. Okay, always remember that it is the accompaniment that they are using. Okay, then we have the dynamics, just like what I have mentioned. It is a terrace dynamics in which the musical passages alternated from loud and soft, sometimes even repeating the same musical race. Okay, we have here as well the example. Okay, just click the link of it, no? Then the other one that we have is a texture, which is a lot of music of the Baroque period, especially the late Baroque period. It has the predominantly polyphonic texture. When we say poly, it means two or more. Okay, textures, that meaning that there are many voices or melodic lines that are happening at the same time, which you observe from the what do you call that, from the hallelujah chorus, no? Okay, so there it is a polyphonic texture. You can see how many classifications of voices are there, how many people are there. Now they are creating more or a massive voices or melodic lines at the same time there. Okay, so that is the different characteristic of Baroque period. Now, moving on to their Baroque musical style, we have the concerto grosso. When we say concerto, okay, you are to pronounce it not concerto ha, concer. Okay, concer. Concerto, okay. When we say concerto grosso, it means big group. Okay, it means big group. Concerto meaning group, grosso meaning big. Okay, so in the early part of the 17th century, the term was used to refer to a many types of music, wherein it included vocal and instrumental music. But then, during the late 17th century, the composers began to limit the term concerto to instrumental ensembles. Okay, pieces that involve the interplay of two groups within the ensemble. Okay, so the soloist and the accompanying group, okay, it can be, okay, a ensemble that we call. So a solo concerto is written for one solo instrument with the orchestra. And one of the characteristics of a solo concerto is the soloist's brilliance and technically demanding passages. So the soloist there is accompanied by a large group of musicians that they called as ripieno. okay, that they called as ripieno. Okay, so the concerto grosso, on the other hand, consists of a group of multiple soloists that we called concertino. Okay, together with the accompanying ripieno. When we say ripieno, larger group of musicians. When we say concertino, multiple soloists. Okay, so here the instrumentation was often for string instrument, violin, viola, cello. Then it has the multi-movement, fast, slow, fast. Okay, one example of that is Johann Sebastian Bach's six Brandenburg concertos, which is very, very um, popular as an example of the Baroque Concerto Grosso, wherein in the opening part of the Brandenburg Concerto number 4, the solo group of violin and two flutes are very important at the beginning. And then, okay, it was being joined, or in the next part of it, okay, it was joined by the piano strings, okay, a larger group of musicians who are playing strings, okay. So aside from that, okay, we have, okay, the instrumentation. Okay, we have the instrumentation first of the concerto grosso. No, that's the violin, viola, cello. Please take note of that, ha? Okay, and then we have the Baroque Orchestra. Before we proceed from Fuge and Toccata, let's move first to Baroque Orchestra. When we say Baroque Orchestra, it was evolved into a performing group based on the instruments of the violin section. The orchestra before was small, consisting of around 30 players. For them, it's just small. No? Because if we are talking about orchestra, really it has 50, 70, 100, 104 musicians. Okay, so the orchestra was small, consisting of around 30 players for them. Okay, and it is small for them. The composition of the orchestra was flexible and can vary from piece to piece. There were varied use of woodwind instruments. What are those woodwind? We have there the recorders, the flutes, oboes. We have as well the brass instruments there, the trumpets, horns, trombones, okay, and as well as the percussion instruments. Example of percussion instrument that was present here in the Baroque orchestra is the timpani. Okay, so the number of woodwind and brass players varies according to the need for a particular composition. Of course, if they need a larger sound for the string instruments or for the woodwind instruments, then they will be getting a massive number for the woodwind instrument. Okay, for example, if they are 30, then they really need to have the power for the woodwind instrument. Then they can get for at least 20 people for it, or 15 people for that, no? Okay, and then 5 for, or maybe 10 for brass players, no? Okay, so the trumpet before, it has no valves but was given quick, difficult melodic lines to be performed in high register, no? Because because of this difficulty in playing, the trumpet player was the star of the Baroque orchestra, because it's very, very difficult to play the trumpet that had no valves, no? Okay, when we say valves, my dear students, what do you think is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of valves po? Hmm? Okay, what is the meaning of valves in music? Okay, because there is also a valves um in the heart, no? So we have the brass instrument valves that are valves that is used to change the length of the tubing, especially of the brass instrument, allowing the player to reach the notes of various harmonic series. So if we don't have valve here, so it's very difficult to create melodic lines. Okay, so that's why the trumpet player was the star of the Baroque orchestra. Okay, and then the choice of instruments to be used in the orchestra was given big consideration by Bach, by Handel, Vivaldi, and other composers. They consider the tone colors produced by a specific instrument suited for their music. Okay, and then Bach was an expert of improvisation. When we say improvisation, it means on the spot music composition. Okay, for example, there is an original piece already and they wanted to change it. Okay, they wanted to add something on it, then that is improvisation as well. Okay, musicians during the Baroque period, they applied ornamentations. Okay, when we talk about ornamentations, my dear students, okay, what is the meaning of that? Okay, ornamentation in music, it's the embellishment of the melody. Okay, it's either by adding notes or by modifying the rhythms. Okay, that is ornamentation. Okay, next, aside from that, is giving the trills. When we say thrills, okay, that is trills, my dear students. Okay, when we say thrills, it is a musical ornament that involves a quick alternation between the two adjacent notes. Okay, so it is um you know the what we call that, it's something like similar with a vibrato or pakulot, something like that. No, that is the trill. Okay, so aside from that, we have as well cadenzas, which is an extended solo passage near the end of the piece, allowing a performer to show off his or her, okay, technical and improvisatory skills. Okay, so that is the musical, okay, about Baroque orchestra. Okay, now let's move on with the next one, which is the fugue. Okay, when we say fugue, it is one of the highlights of the Baroque music. No? When we say fugue, it came from the Latin word fugere, which means to flee. Okay, so fugue is a contrapuntal piece that can be used for voices or group of instruments. Okay, like a single keyboard instruments like a harpsichord or an organ. So the fugue is in polyphonic, okay, in texture based on one primary theme that is called a subject. Okay, so different melodic lines, either voices or instruments, imitate the sound throughout the fugue. Okay, so the texture of the fugue um consists of three, four, or five voices. Okay, then the fugue begins with the subject that is presented as an a cappella or theme that will be heard many times in the composition but may be repeated by the remaining voices, usually alternating tonic and dominant. It may be presented in the way like, for example, you are the one going to sing Ave Maria. And then from the ve, okay, Ave, the alto will be following Ave, and then from the ve of the alto, that the tenor can follow, and then after that, the bass will follow. It is something like similar with a round song, okay, like a connected music piece that they are singing, but they're just imitating, okay, they are just imitating the remaining voice. For example, the soprano is the main melody, no, it will be, imitated in turn by the remaining voices by alternating between tonic and dominant. Okay, so aside from that, we have here um the toccata. When we say toccata, it is a composition for the keyboard instruments, okay, that is usually virtuosic, involving fast or difficult playing by the performer. Okay, then we have there the counterpoint. It is consist of two or more melodies that is played at the same time that establish a harmonic relationship. Okay, so if you are a fan of watching horror movies, if you have watched already Dracula and the music that was used for a haunted house story there, the opening notes of Bach's toccata and fugue in D minor were used as the background music there. Okay? Then aside from that, we have invention and prelude. Okay? When we say invention, it was the name given by Bach to pieces of small dimensions. Okay? So written in rather loose fugal imitation and various free styles and forms called this called preludes were combined with a contrasting streak fugue, and this is known as prelude and fugue form. Okay, next one, it is given by Bach. Okay, so next one we have, before we proceed on Johann Sebastian Bach, we have another one which is the oratorio. Oratorio came after the name of a church room that is called oratory, wherein the prayers were offered. Okay, so a parish priest named Father Philip Romulaneri paved, wow, how is he related to Paris Nari? Paved the way for the first oratorio. He was in charge of the children and youth of the parish when he organized little musical play with choruses and solos for for boys' voices. Okay, so there he divided the musical plays into two acts and gave the sermon in between the acts. There he brought the people to his service on schedule, and at the same time he provided moral training for the boys to make the play more exciting. He used costume and scenery but gave more importance to the music. Okay, so that is oratorio. Okay, the next one that we have is cantata, on which it is the derived from the Italian word cantare, which means to sing. It is similar to the oratorio, except that it is a short lyrical form dealing with a secular or sacred theme. When we talk about oratorio, it is a sacred one. While here the cantata, it can be a form dealing with a secular or a sacred theme. No, oftentimes a cantata is written for small number of performers. Cantata is to the oratorio as operetta to is to the opera in terms of seriousness and length of the subject. Okay. Next that we have here is the what? Okay, the Baroque keyboard. Okay, music. So the primary keyboard instruments during the Baroque period were the organ and the harpsichord. Both of them were appropriate for the playing and accompaniment to vocal, polyphonic music, and various forms of the Baroque instrumental music. Okay, then we have the chords and basso continuo, which became important during the Baroque period, and this interest in chords gave new significance to the bass part, which serve as the foundation of the harmony. Yes, that is true. When we say bass part po, okay, it served as the foundation of the choir. Okay, always remember that, ha. Okay, so the entire musical structure rested on the bass part because this new emphasis on chords and the bass part that gave a new characteristic feature in this period is called as basso continuo or the figured bass. Okay, so it is an accompaniment played by at least two instruments, an organ or a harpsichord, and a low melodic instruments like a bassoon or even a cello. Okay, so the organist or harpsichordist, okay, realizes that the harmony, while the cellist or the bassoonist plays the moving bass notes. Then the keyboardist uses the right hand for improvisation of chord or even the melodic line. Okay, so that is the um, different characteristics and textures of the Baroque period. Now, we will be moving on to Johann Sebastian Bach. Okay, Johann Sebastian Bach is a German composer and a musician of the late Baroque period. So he is known for instrumental composition such as the cello suites and Brandenburg concertos, keyboard work such as the Goldberg variations, the well-tempered clavier, and the toccata and fugue in D minor, as well as the vocal music such as the Saint Matthew Passion and the Mass in B minor. And then since the 19th century, Bach revival, he has been generally regarded as one of the greatest composer in his history of Western music. Okay, so that is Johann Sebastian Bach. Okay, aside from that, Bach extended as with many things in Bach's life, family was everything. Musicians in Bach's extended family included court musicians, teachers, composers, and church organists, something that the young Johann would himself grew into. Okay, so the example of his composition, we have Air on the G string, Mini Way, Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring. Okay, so aside from that, I have watched already the movie of Johann Sebastian Bach, and there's a particular problem about him. I think lumabo yung mata niya, or have gone blind already. I don't remember already, but that's how I perceive the story about Johann Sebastian Bach. If I'm not mistaken, ha, okay, parang lumabo yata or nawalan siya ng paningin doon in the ending of the life of Johann Sebastian Bach. Okay, so the next composer that we have here is George Friedrich Handel. Okay, so George Friedrich Handel is a German-born composer who studied in the who studied works of Italian opera composers and eventually applied some of their styles to his own. He lived and studied in Italy to learn the different style. Okay, and there he became a knowledgeable in the operatic style and achieved great success. After that, he moved to London where he became a British citizen and stayed there for the rest of his life. No? Handel didn't write only opera but also created oratorios and performed them in the concert halls. No? So he wrote his oratorios in English, which made it accessible to an English speaking audience. So his world famous piece is the Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah rather. Hallelujah chorus. Okay, from his oratorio Messiah. Okay, so the sacred themes are oratorio's main subject matter, and it is not written to be performed during any church services. So as in the opera, it is to showcase the singer's virtuosity and skills, and it was intended as an alternative entertainment to the growing opera audience during the Lenten season where opera productions were suspended. Okay, so aside from that, we have we have here the next composer, Antonio Vivaldi. Okay, Antonio Vivaldi, he was very famous because he is the violinist, no? Okay, a violinist who left a decisive mark on the form of the concerto and the style of late Baroque instrumental music. Okay, so he was a virtuosic violinist, a prolific composer, and a teacher. So, as evidenced by the level of competence attained by his pupils, a Venetian all his life traveling but always returning. Vivaldi epitomizes the Italian Baroque music like no other composer. He was known as the Red Priest because of his red hair. Okay, so Vivaldi's music became widely known and performed ju- all throughout Europe in a large part due to his publications with Estienne Roger of Amsterdam, whose distribution was well organized. So he had, for example, a distributor in Leipzig with whom Bach was in regular contact, and then Bach indeed adopted um, such a number of Vivaldi's works for organ and harpsichord, and as concertos for harpsichords and strings. He also included there several of Vivaldi's work during the popular musical evenings that he organized in Leipzig. So today's Vivaldi is perhaps the best known composition that he created is the Four Seasons. Okay, so now we will be watching the Four Seasons of Vivaldi. Okay, here it is. Can you see it now? Hmm. Why isn't it here? Please wait. Why is it not here? Let me just try it again.
Trying the please.
Okay, all top. Please wait, I cannot share it here. So let's just listen to it na lang. Okay? Let's just listen to it na lang. We'll be searching it. Okay, the Four Seasons of Vivaldi. I just listen to it, ha? Okay, because I cannot see. Maybe here. Okay, I'll be just playing it. Ayan. This is a violin concerto, number 4 in F minor. Okay, so this is a favorite composition that I really like, the Four Season of Vivaldi. I think this is the one. Yan, this is the favorite. That's the last one, or that's the shortest. Yes, that's it. Okay, and now we are done with our discussion. Thank you so much, grade 9. Okay, do you have any questions? Okay, if you don't have any question, then I'll be giving you an activity to answer, which is let's recall activity, page 45. Okay, it's just 5 items. No, I just want you to answer it if you really understand the lesson that we have there. Okay, that is let's recall activity 1 to 5. Okay, and then I will be posting a quiz, okay, a 10 item quiz assignment that you can answer until Saturday po. Again, I will be sending a quiz assignment that you can answer until Saturday. I hope it is fine with all of you. Thank you so much and have a nice day ahead. Bye bye.